Hi there, welcome to the brand new episode of Woman 121. This is a program where we bring stories and achievements of women in the Bible to the modern woman and the modern world.
And it's not from God. And so, in pursuit of these riches, it becomes a snare, and it tempts us.
Music has a big influence to people, and I think sometimes if you just watch particular people,
because when you do something wrong, there are consequences.
So with the Raising Women Foundation, it's all about influencing, impacting life.
Remember the first time she didn't send the woman away, the woman ran. But this time she said, I don't want this woman again. It was her main commitment.
In fact, the message here for every woman is God has a destiny for you.
Hi there, thanks for joining us today. This is a special edition of Woman 121. I'm glad you've tuned in. Woman 121 is about talking about women in the Bible and relating them to the modern woman and the modern world. And please stay tuned, we'll be right back. Today's topic is, ladies, who are you following? And really, when you look into social media and all that, we are all following somebody somehow. But the people that we influence, they can actually impact our lives negatively or positively. And this is something that we want to discuss today. My guest is Temi Dayo, who has a women's ministry, and it's called Letters to Me, isn't it? Tell us a bit about your ministry, just briefly.
Okay, so I always say that Letters to Me started out of pain. So I'm in a down moment, and then, I just remember being on my phone and I start writing how I feel, what's making me upset. And sometimes if I don't have my phone, I'll write on paper. I keep the papers under my pillow, and I just kept them. And every time I'd move house, I'd just keep them in a box. Really, not thinking that anything would come of it.
Okay, you have tons of boxes here.
With lots of letters inside, or pieces of paper, or quick notes, or when something came to my head, I'd quickly write down a note. And that's really how it started.
So, I'm just saying this from your website, because you have a website, Letters to Me.
Yes.
And this is something that I just coined from your website. That it said, when life throws stones, I build and smile. I wrote letters to encourage myself, and I hope they encourage you. So, like you just said, it started off as something that you wrote down to encourage yourself. Yeah. And so, at what point did you decide that, okay, I'm going to throw everything out there. I want people to really actually read my letters and really get blessed with it.
So it was 2017 the website started, or the ministry started, and I think since 2008 God had told me that I was going to have a ministry for young women, for ladies, and I kind of just threw it down. I didn't think anything of it. I kept having dreams, but I would just, as far as I was concerned, I was going to go to university. I was going to work in HR, and that was it. And so I remember sitting down in my living room. I was having a worship session, and I was listening to something on the TV, and God told me to go and get that box of all the letters. So I just thought, okay. So I just started reading them, and for me it was, wow, look how far I've come from reading something that I wrote in 2010, 2011, 2012. Now it's 2017. And then he was like, share them. I was like, what? So for a few weeks I didn't give God a listening ear, as it were. I didn't even think about it, because these are really very personal things. These are things that they were just for me. I just wrote them to myself. My husband has not even seen a lot of these things. So I discussed it with him, because if I'm going to go on this journey, then I need him to come on this journey with me. And he said yes, so he helped me do my website, and then we started posting.
Letters to Me. Yeah, I'll encourage our viewers out to just go on that website. It's full of amazing stories. Right, so okay, our topic for today, ladies, who are you following? Like I said, everyone follows somebody on social media. You said something. You said that one of the questions, or one of the things that you said is that when it comes to social media, so are you following influential people or influencers? And what is the difference between these two when it comes to?
Okay, so social media is very, very big at the moment, and if you think about it, it's probably really taken off in the last 10 years. Prior to that, most of, I would say, young women were influenced by people they see, people around them. So they're influenced by their mum, their dad, their parent, their siblings, their grandma, whoever they grew up with. They were influenced by their environment. But social media has now made it so that that environment can come into your house.
Right.
Does that make sense? So before, I was influenced by my mom because I saw her every day. I saw the hard work that she was doing. But now I can be influenced by Michelle Obama because I can see what she's doing every day because of social media. And it's also, social media is also given a platform, and it's brilliant. We've all enjoyed social media, but there's also a very dark side to social media. And social media means that everybody has a voice. The people that are saying bad things and the people that are saying
don't even know what they're saying or who they are telling you that follow them.
Exactly. So it's almost like anybody now can have a voice, which means anybody can be listened to. So I think for me, influential people are people who have a story and who commit themselves to bringing people along their journey and to influencing those people to become better. Influencers is anybody that has a platform that can influence you to, on the very extreme side, commit suicide. They can mess with your mindset and lead you down that path. But someone who is influential wants to bring you along their journey to making you a better version of yourselves. Exactly.
And that's what you are doing, because that's what your website is all about. I mean, it's full of amazing stories.
Thank you so much.
And so we get people to influence in a positive way or in a negative way.
Exactly.
And what you said about before, you get influenced by your parents because you live with them, you see them, and they talk to you. And it's so strange that it's moving away gradually. But yes, we are in this era, and so things have to go on that way. But like you said, it's right for us to be influenced by the right people.
Exactly. And
make sure that we are getting what we need. Okay, before you started this journey, way before you started everything, there were a few challenges that you went through.
Yes. And
I would say that these challenges have made you who you are today.
Absolutely.
Would you like to share that to us?
So how far do I go back? So in 2004, I started university. And as a young girl, you have so many hopes. It's your first time away from home. So I'm the first child, I'm the first grandchild, I'm the first everything. So there was a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And my mum was an educationalist. Oh my gosh, she did everything to strive to get us the best education. So going to university was not an option. It was going to happen. But I enjoyed it. I was waiting for it to happen. A lot of my peers, we were all going to the same university, so it was just going to be fun. And along the line, I met a guy. So I'm 18 at the time. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I've met a guy now, what do I do? Typical African household. And so I told my mom, and the thinking behind telling my mom was that I didn't want anyone else to tell her first.
Right.
And my mom's a very, very popular woman. So I thought, let me tell her first before someone else tells her. So I kind of just mustered up the courage, me and my cousin, to tell her, Mom, so there's this guy, she took it really well. She took it so well. And she said that he should come for dinner.
Wow.
So I was just like, oh, wow. And so he came, and to cut a long story short, I remember her saying something. She said to the guy, she said, don't drive a wedge between this family. And that's how she left it. She didn't say anything else. And it didn't take a scientist to work out what she was saying. She was saying, treat my daughter right, and don't do anything that takes her off the course that has been set for her. So that was 2004. Fast track. So it didn't work out with this guy, and I realized very quickly that he wasn't the right guy for me. So fast forward to 2010, I met him again.
Right.
And it was, he's changed. He now, he's born again. He's changed, and all the issues that we had before were now, suddenly fixed. I had got saved in uni in 2008.
Okay.
So, but I was still very early in my Christian faith, and I remember when I got saved, I asked God something that I wanted God to start afresh with me, because I'd been born in the church. I'd been going to church every single Sunday. I knew the scriptures, but I didn't know God. I knew of God, but I didn't know God. So I just wanted him to start afresh. So I was taking my time and just really enjoying the new relationship I had with Christ. And then he comes along, and at first I was very excited, like, oh my gosh, someone has come to the faith. But my pastor says something. He says that we should be wary of wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
And that was literally the light for me. But I was very naive, and so I took everything he said as gospel. And every once in a while, he would do something, and you think, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? He was very abusive. He's very emotionally abusive. He's very physical. And I was thinking, this doesn't measure up to this born again that you said.
Yeah.
And in 2011, it got very bad. And the devil is very interesting. The situation you find yourself in, he makes you feel like it's very unique to you. You're the only person going through that problem. You're the only person going through
He tries to confine you to think that you are the only person.
Yes, because what he wants to do is get you alone. And when you are alone, that's it. And so I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody about what was going on. And I felt like I couldn't talk to my mum, because now, she'd said this to the guy, don't bring a wedge in our family.
And
we broke up,
Yeah.
we've gone back, and now there's issues. And so I kept it to myself. And I remember having a dream, and this is why, God is so amazing, that even though when we're not faithful, he's still there. When we move away, he's still there behind us. And I remember having a dream, and I think that dream was part of God's mercy for me.
Right.
And in the dream, I woke up, and you could see that there was someone trying to harm me in the dream. But this guy, the guy that I was dating, in the dream he was sleeping. So I was trying to tap him up to wake up, to see that we were in danger, and he was sleeping. And for me, that was definitely spiritual slumber. And so I was trying to speak in the spirit. I was trying to ask for the blood of Jesus, but I couldn't speak. And I couldn't, in the dream, muster the courage. And I think I tried to say a few words, and this evil thing just sort of left. And it's so funny, because I felt the Holy Spirit say at the time that I should walk around my house. I was living in a flat at the time, and just begin to pray, walking around. But I was so scared from the dream. So I was literally in my bed when I woke up like this. Anyway, fast forward, it became light. I literally didn't sleep all night. It became light. I finally managed to get out of the bed, and I realized that I left my door open, and I'd left the cooker on.
Oh, wow.
And for me, that was God trying to start to teach me obedience. Because if I'd woke up and prayed around my house, I would have realized that the cooker was, So that was the first time that I really started to think, okay, what is this? And I started to build up the courage to start reading my Bible again, to try finding out who should I talk to and what do I do with this situation? Because I tried to leave this relationship, but he was not having it, and it was just becoming very awkward and scary, and I was very fearful.
So would you say fear kept you in, actually? Because even though it wasn't a good environment, but you couldn't master that courage.
So I think there's two types of fear. The first fear was, if I leave, I don't know what he will do. And he had said things like, you can never leave me, and if you do, this will happen. But also the fear of, how do I tell everybody now what's happened, you know, and sometimes the fear of the outside and the unknown as well. And it seemed easier just to stay where I was and hope that he would change, hope one day he would change. You know, but that's the thing with us human beings, we're not Jesus. We don't do the changing, you know, and sometimes we feel that if we continue praying, it will change. And God is saying, I never asked you to change that person, you know.
Exactly.
And so from towards the end, so October 2011, I mustered the courage. I was going to leave him. I was happy. I was ready. I told a friend that this is what I was going to do. So the friend was encouraging me, etc. And to cut a long story short, he took advantage of me. And about 3 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. So you can just. This was things that I read about on TV, that I saw on Facebook. This was never going to happen to me. And prior to this, I was very active in the church. So I was a youth leader in the church. I was part of the young girls ministry in the church. I had preached on celibacy. I had preached on waiting until you're married, and suddenly I'm pregnant. And I just thought it was a massive dream. So for the first few, I think 2 months, I didn't go to work. I stayed at home. I didn't do anything, and I remember just staying at home. And it got to the point that my friends started to come to the door to knock for me on the door, and that's when I told them. And yeah,
I can imagine the shock and everything. You don't even need to say, but
you know, it's just
what
do I do? And immediately the thing that comes to you is to get rid of it, you know, because that is the quickest thing, the easiest thing to do is to get rid of it. But you know, God has a very interesting sense of humour. I had gone to the GP, I'd gotten all the leaflets that I need to get, and I was planning to do this. And of course you hear the voice in you. We've all been told, no, abortion is bad. But I was ready. And then I received a phone call, I remember about 7 o'clock that evening, from one of the girls I used to mentor at church. And she said, oh, hi auntie, can you talk to me about abortion? Is abortion bad?
Oh,
and at this point, I'm just like, what? I said, I'll call you back. And I told her I was on my bathroom floor and I was crying, thinking, oh my gosh, you know. And I guess God was, in order to distract me from going, I think He put me into what I call a dark place. And you know, sometimes we feel that it's the enemy that's put us into a dark place, but sometimes God uses dark places to save us. So He put me into this dark place, and I don't think I was suicidal, but I was very much, you know, I used to tell myself something, that having cancer would be better than where I am now. And I've asked for forgiveness. But for me, because if you have an illness, people will say, oh, I hope you're okay. Yeah. But there was no sympathy here, and I had no idea how I was going to tell anybody. So as I kept thinking about that, the months were going by, and obviously it was too late.
Yeah, because I mean, this is something. Pregnancy is something you cannot hide forever. So now, what was happening?
So I was about 5 months now. You can't see my stomach, but I think you could tell on my face that something was wrong. So I told my spiritual father first. And I remember picking up the phone and saying, I've got something to tell you. And he was like, what is it? Do you need money? I said, no. And he said, you're pregnant. And I said, yes. So he knew, another one of my spiritual fathers knew, the pastor of my church, and he was trying to get hold of me. But in that period, I wasn't picking up my phone. So, and I remember going to see my grandparents and telling them, because my grandpa was in Nigeria, my mum lived in Nigeria. And I didn't want to tell her over the phone. People had told me, don't tell her over the phone, because she could, my mum, it could have an effect on her. So I told my grandpa, and my grandpa then and my pastor went to visit my mum in Nigeria and tell her. And you can just, this is a woman that,
you're her first child.
You know, I'm her first child.
She's
put so much. She put so much into me, physically, financially, emotionally, and this was the last thing. You know, we would talk together about other girls that found themselves pregnant. You know, she worked in an industry, when she lived in the UK, she worked in an industry where she'd see a lot of young girls pregnant. And we'd talk about it. So for me to turn around and say, oh mum, it's my turn, I'm pregnant now, was just bad. And you know, she did what any mother would do. She was just pushed me away for some time. And I think about 4 months we didn't talk. So
let me ask you, so what was happening? Because now it's showing now. I think at this stage it's showing. So how about your church friends?
So
Everyone.
church people are very interesting. You know, I always say that if you want to find ungodly people, go to the church. Unfortunately, we, especially our culture as black people, we're very judgmental.
Yeah.
And I've done it before. You know, I would see the women pushing buggies, and I'd be like, I'm not going to be like that. And so they were very judgmental, and there was a lot of attack. I was asked to step down from leadership. I had people telling me I couldn't come to the church anymore. I had people telling my spiritual mothers to disassociate themselves with me.
I wonder why we do that.
And you know, it's funny now because I can thank God, I can laugh now. But you know, that happened. I had people move their kids away, and you know, and I think about it now. You know, what will I do? I have 2 girls now. I have 2 daughters now. What would I do? And I think it's any mother's instinct to protect. It's you know, it's what you do. So that didn't so much hurt me. I think what hurt me was the people and their words and what they said. Something really upset me, and even till today is a struggle. So I wasn't allowed to dedicate my daughter at church, and
okay, that's another show.
I know that story. And you know, but with all of this happening, I always say, I joke that God is the God of my side, because He would tug me here, you know, every once in a while, to say, stand up straight. This is not what I have for you. This is nothing. So hurry up, get through this period really quickly.
So now, so you had your child, obviously, and so did you ever dream that, okay, at one point I'm going to get married or settle down, or you know, what was going on?
So I cancelled out getting married. I was never a married girl. I never wanted to get married. All my friends. I was 26 when I had my daughter. I was very career driven, and for me, having this child had messed up me having my career. And I very much, I think, during my pregnancy and her first year, very much saw her as a stumbling block. She was just an issue. I couldn't do anything because I had no childcare. I didn't have any money because all my money was going on the nursery fees. So she was very much the issue. And I remember starting to pray about it because I didn't want to put any of my feelings onto her. So I started praying that God would just redesign this, and you know, and you know, I'm very real with my Christianity, and I do all sorts of things, you know. So I'm like, right, okay, God, have a seat, let's talk. You said that children are a blessing, they're an inheritance. I don't know how you're blessing me with this, you know. And I remember having a dream again. God speaks to me in dreams, and we were in a garden, lots of flowers, beautiful flowers in this garden, and I was crying. So he came to me and said, why are you crying? I said, because I didn't want to have this baby. This baby is a stumbling block. She's in the way. And he started laughing. And I was like, it's not funny. Why are you laughing? He said, because I've given you the gift. And I said, she's not a gift. If you wanted to give me a gift, you could have got me a car, a house, you know, all these things that we know as gifts. I didn't ask for this gift. I don't want it. And he said to me that the beauty of any gift is the unwrapping. And he said it wasn't yet time to unwrap why he gave her to me. And I remember waking up, and since then my mindset changed. Before I was very shy.
That's a profound dream, yeah.
I was very shy. I didn't take her anywhere. We didn't go out. I made sure I didn't tell anybody about her who didn't know. So a lot of people still didn't know. I stopped going to church. And I remember attending, so my church is near here, near Northwest London, but I started in a church next to my house, thinking I can make a fresh start, no one will know me in this church. And then again in service, and somebody taps me on the shoulder and says, I didn't call you to this church, go back. So I turned around, to think, who's tapping me? And no one was there. So it was the Holy Spirit telling me to go back.
It's amazing because, I think, from what you're saying, through all this, your relationship with God grew, even though you were facing all those challenges, and that is what actually kept you going.
Absolutely.
Because without that, can you imagine where you would be?
I'm sure, I definitely do feel I would have committed suicide or done something very silly.
Okay. So now, we're going to go fast forward now. So what changed your mindset when you, how did you meet your husband now, and, what was going on around at the time? Because now it's like, okay, you decided, this stumbling block that you think you had, somehow God had said, no, it's not actually, that has actually got your attention. You are trying to work out your salvation, so to speak, or work out and try to find out what God's purpose is in all that. At what stage did you now think that, okay, actually, I need to settle down? Did that thought even occur to you?
No, it still didn't occur to me. I was clear I was going to have a ministry. My ministry was to make sure that what I had gone through, no other girl goes through.
Right.
So, and I was confident. I now took my daughter everywhere with me, to meetings. I took her everywhere, and I was very confident with her. And in 2014,
so there's been a change.
There's been a massive change. And there's still people talking.